Welcome back to Face the Nation. We are back now with more of our conversation with former Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan. Good to have you on. We've been talking about this book you just wrote, and in it, you're very critical of the state of our schools right now. You say there's a lot more work to be done. One specific criticism, you say, there's a distinction between proficiency and growth when you're measuring how students actually perform. You say not everyone understands that, including the current Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos. What do you mean?
So what I'm interested in is how much students are improving each year. So proficiency is just on an absolute basis where you are today. I want to know how much you're getting better each year. So if you're learning 2 years of material for a year's instruction, that's amazing work by the child, but more importantly, great work by that teacher. And we need to recognize that and reward that. Pretty basic concept for folks that work in education. Unfortunately, the current Secretary of Education didn't understand that one.
And what exactly is it that you think she is failing to understand or follow through on here? Because she has kept a number of the Obama administration programs.
It's interesting. You probably saw in the news. For me, it's just a crazy metaphor that about a week ago, her yacht was found adrift. $40 million yacht just out there. And for me, that sort of represents where they are in terms of education policy. There isn't one.
What does her personal wealth have to do with that?
It doesn't have anything to do with it. It's just that the policy is adrift. There's nothing out there of substance. We should have some concrete goals as a nation. I would argue high quality access to pre-K for every single child. We got high school graduation rates to 84%. They should be trying to get that to 90%. We should try to lead the world in college completion. None of those are on the radar. They talk about small things. And that for me we're selling our nation short. This is a great education is our way to have a stronger economy. We have to educate our way to a better economy. You don't hear any of that. We don't have big goals. It should be bipartisan, nonpartisan.
One of the things that the current secretary has been an advocate for in the past are school vouchers, also school choice. What is it specifically that you have a problem with when it comes to using some of these public fundings, in essence, to allow some students to go to private schools? Yeah,
so I think, again, public money should be used to support public schools, and that could be traditional schools, that could be high-performing charter schools. I don't care the name of the school. I just want more high-performing schools, less dropout factories.
Doesn't it come as a reflection in some ways of greater parental involvement if they're trying to take that option?
We're all for parental involvement. I think public dollars should be used to support high-quality public education. The vast majority of our children in our nation always have and always will go to public schools. We have to make sure those are absolutely as strong as possible. I think we need a different model. We need to think about a pre-K through 14 model. We've had a K through 12 model for 100 years. I think that's a little outdated. We have to start earlier, and a high school diploma is great. It's not enough. We've got to think about some form of higher education, community college, four-year universities beyond that as well.
In the book, you make a point that we're not training children to enter the current workforce. It's more sort of factory worker mentality.
Yeah.
What is it that you think needs to be added here?
How we think critically, how we work in teams, how we solve problems. Those are the kinds of skills that all employers are looking for, not rote memorization, not just sitting in a class, memorizing things. And again, these are places where we could go much further and do it with a real sense of urgency. For me, the competition isn't other countries, it's can we do it here ourselves? And if we can do that, our kids are extraordinary. We just have to give them a better chance. We have to meet them halfway.
When you were Secretary of Education, the tragedy in Sandy Hook happened. We've seen yet another tragedy on President Trump's watch now, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting, and those teenagers have become very politically active on the heels of that. But equally, very little change at the federal level, all really at the local. Is that what the expectation should be, that communities have to figure out how to fix this issue themselves?
No, I think we all have to do this, and I will say, Margaret, this is I think our greatest failing is that we don't value the lives of our children. Children in other nations don't die like they do here. And the Sandy Hook massacre was the worst day of President Obama's presidency, was our worst day there. He went out the next day to visit families. The vice president and I went down a couple days later. None of us ever anticipated 20 babies and 5 teachers and a principal being slaughtered. And the fact that we got nothing done, zero, in terms of gun legislation after that, is heartbreaking. I've been very pessimistic on that issue, but the students from Parkland, Florida have given me a real sense of hope. And young people, whether it's in Parkland, whether it's back home in Chicago, young people I'm working with here in DC, as I said earlier, we've raised a generation of teens on mass shootings, on gun violence. We have failed as adults and parents to protect them. and they're saying they're not going to tolerate it. And I'm actually very, very hopeful that the young people who are going to lead our nation where we as adults have failed to take them, and that's to a place free of trauma and free of fear.
The book is How Schools Work by Arne Duncan. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be right back with our panel.